But so Jay, the one thing you got to understand about Ashley, bro, she has her professional side and she has her not so sweet Southern Belle side. She will cuss with the best of them, and then at one point will use her intellect to fuck you up while she's cussing you out. Like, it's the weirdest fucking thing ever. It really is. So she'll say balls. It's crazy. All the time.
There's certain words I don't like.
Well, yeah, but
just because they feel icky. But I think that's just an ick. I don't really like that one. I don't hate that one, but I don't like it. Pussy is actually one. I said it earlier, but I don't really like it. It's kind of one of my ick words. I don't know why I don't like it. I just don't.
Moist. It's so funny to walk around work saying that and then just seeing all the cringe looks on everybody's face. And I'm like, you're a fucking pansy.
I feel like every time I say balls, that's going to be Jay's thing now.
It's Jay.
We need like an emote. She said balls.
Or we'll just get two nuts hanging from a tree.
Two silver bells hanging on a string. They call that my ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Mm-hmm.
Wog, I think all males can multitask while taking a shit.
This is true.
Hence why we spend 30 minutes in the bathroom.
It's ridiculous. I can't.
You were talking about how sheltered you were. My favorite movie as a kid was Roadhouse.
Oh my god!
Oh no, mine. The only thing I watched was like I Dream of Jeannie and Green Acres. So and Wheel of Fortune.
This is the place to be.
Yeah, we watched Wheel of Fortune, and Green Acres, and I Dream of Jeannie.
No, dang it, Mayberry. What was Andy Griffith's show?
Yes, Andy Griffith show. Yeah.
Well, and then it was Grandma Great come over and y'all to watch Jerry Springer.
Yeah. So my great grandmother. So I grew up with my grandparent, right? So I was really close to my great grandmother as well. And so when she had knee replacement surgery, whenever I was a kid, I was my grandmother obviously brought my great grandmother over to stay with us while she was recovering. And so she and I would watch the soaps together. So we watched
All My Children, One Life to Live,
well, we watched
General
the other
Hospital.
Ones. We watched the other ones.
Young and Restless.
Yes, Young and the Restless. Yeah, all the Bold and Beautiful.
Bold and Beautiful.
And then in the afternoon, if we were lucky, if Paul hadn't made it home yet, we could catch Jerry Springer. So we would watch Jerry Springer until we heard Paul coming up the ramp, and we would hurry up and turn it off.
I used to love Ricky Lake and Jenny Jones.
Yes. She used to always let me watch all that.
Hey, Skep, I'm dragging you for a second.
Cam said check.
Yeah, I already did. That's why I'm dragging Skep. Hold on one second. All right, so mom texts me. All right, we got another good friend that we all know. Great dude. He's actually 2 follows away right now from being an affiliate on Kick. 2 follows. So we want 2 of those follows to come from this community. That's what we want.
Please.
Skep's gonna come pull him up.
Is there a?
Can somebody else pull him up? Because I can't. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll throw it off if I do it. But if you guys pull him up.
Oh wait, he's not even live.
It doesn't matter. Let's.
Yeah, that's fine. There he is. Mom just shouted him out.
That's the link, you guys. Please go follow it, please.
So he can wake up.
Dude.
Says he's offline.
Yeah, just go hit him with a follow. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Rebel and Ash. Boom.
I already follow him.
So. Everybody, just go follow him. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, just click and follow, please. You'll like him. He's a good dude. Really great.
I got it pulled up too.
Yes, Jay. Shit.
You're.
Oh shit.
That's the page. That's the page, you guys.
That's what the page would look like. You can go see it here in a little bit.
7 followers now.
Yerp.
Let's go.
Love
Appreciate
that.
you guys.
Mm.
All right. I gotta go here. Stop streaming. There we go. Y'all are awesome.
So, that's amazing. He's been grinding too, man. He's a good dude, really great dude.
Yeah, he had well, it was crazy because after I had my surgery and I started the affiliate grind on Kick, him and I think we're grinding just about the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there and I was like, all right. So I hosted him a couple of times
Yeah.
because I was just trying to get him that little push,
Yep.
trying to get him there. So it comes back to the support of everybody.
You got to bump him up the ladder a little bit in the category. You know what I mean? It helps.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that was I think what I kind of screwed him a little bit with what I was doing is because I had a lot of Fortnite guys or whatever because I was playing Fortnite a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "Fuck Call of Duty." So, but we got him there, Mom.
We're there.
Now, fucking text his ass and tell his ass to get in here.
Yeah. Tell him.
That Apex and Fortnite and COD Mobile break that I took for a little bit from Rebirth Island, it was refreshing. Made me come back with a new acceptance to the game.
I mean, I still hate Call of Duty, and I think in 30 days, I think I played maybe 4 days of COD.
I like the little breaks. Like, I took last night off because I was like, you know what? I just want to stay offline and I just want to like vibe out and play some Diablo 4. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I played Diablo until like 3:30 in the morning.
Jesus.
It's a good game. Like I've always loved Diablo, but I like RPG games, story games like that too. Not just shooters. So
We used to play story games together too. Like we played Mortal Kombat, which is not a story, but we played Mortal Kombat, and then we played like what was the other?
Gears of War?
Gears of War.
Good game too.
No.
I like Assassin's Creed. I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan.
It's kind of like Assassin's Creed, but because it's an RPG that style, right?
Yeah.
But it's co-op too, so which is pretty cool. You can join like clans and build clans and go do raids and things like that and adventures. It's pretty badass what they did with it. So
Well,
I know we all like Resurgence, and they are coming up with another Resurgence map next season that will be in rotation with the Sheik Island.
Yeah. And I think those types of changes are going to be all right or whatever. Like, I think what helped me out or whatever is I love the, classic style or whatever, but the skill gap in a game is what I like, and even though slide canceling was a glitch, it was a gap that you could actually progress in a game and show different skills. That separated that person from somebody else.
So it took me a while to like agree with that take. And the reason why is because I think of it like boxing, right? Or fighting in general. Like everyone is the same rules apply to everyone, right? And what separates the best from not the best is their performance of it. So like, let's say in this game particular, Modern Warfare 2, there's no slide canceling, the B-hops, you can't do that kind of stuff anymore. So everyone is still on the same level playing field, right? But now it's the same rule. The same rules apply. Like you still have to be good at the game of what you have, the tools you have, just like in boxing, the tools you have. You have to be good at that and better than the other people. So like a skill gap to me is like, I kind of look at it like that's Mortal Kombat pressing combinations. Like,
right,
you're the best at pressing button combos. Because really, that's what slide canceling, b-hopping was just a bunch of freaking button combos. Is all, Could they work to your advantage? Absolutely. Especially if you mastered it or got really good at it. But like, no matter what the playing field is, whether those tools are in it or not, everyone has the same tools to use. So,
Well, it was just
that's how I look at it.
Well, there's more to it than just the slide canceling. You know, I like that movement mechanic, even though that it was a glitch. But once you got to know how the mechanics truly worked, and then with the map awareness on predicting things or whatever the plays that could be made, you know, just by an exploit technically is what it really was that became that game.
Yeah.
Is, you know, you could make those plays, you know, when you're, because so right now, take Resurgence, right? You're the only person left. People go and hide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the objective of every game is to win, right? Is to be on top, right? And if it was one of those things where, hey, this person died and now I'm the only one left, I had something that you could use, and if you mastered it, you could take more people off the table for your team to be able to come back.
Yeah.
And then you could ultimately complete that objective. The mechanics nowadays or whatever, it's more about playing smart and tactics, which is more of a realism aspect.
Yeah.
It is. You know, and by nature, the tactician, you know, because, you know, AG's done that stuff in the past, you know, as well as like, we understand the tactics and all that stuff, but it's all like, all right, let's have some fun while we're doing it. But then I try and do some tactic stuff, and then boom, I got 4 dudes sucking each other off so hard they can't freaking decipher their mouth from their asshole. That's what irks my nerves.
That's the hard thing about it. Yeah, for sure. And it's we now have less tools to use to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Right. So like, if you run into 4 people on this new map, like, you're basically screwed. You're basically screwed. On the old game, you had more tools to use to get out of that situation, or perhaps even like, you know, wipe that team. But like, wiping 4 people on this new game, holy crap, dude! You gotta do it. It has to be. It has to be perfect. It has to be laid out perfectly for you, because you just don't have the tools anymore.
Well, I mean, and the perfect plan goes to perfect shit.
It does.
I mean, you could have the greatest fucking plan or whatever, and that motherfucker is going to crumble based on 1/100th of a calculation being off. You know, and yes, Jay, it is a team tactic. It is. And that's just what you got to get back to.
Yeah, you have to change.
It's just that the culture, the culture of COD gaming nowadays, between Black Ops 4 and then Modern Warfare 19, set a huge precedence over, what was that, a 5-year span between the 2 games?
Yeah. Well, you have to
or whatever that they had.
Think about it too, is like, we spent 3 years playing a game a specific way, and now it's changed, and now everybody's up in arms about it because it's different. When in 3 years or 2 years, however long we're going to have this game for, like, people are going to be used to the way it plays and how they play it and how they have to, how they use the tools that they have to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish, get wins or kills, whatever. And then it's going to come out and it's going to be slightly different. And people are going to bitch about that too. Like, oh,
they are
this
1,000%.
You know?
This is why I have such a hard time. I hate, like, there's times we'll play with people they get so caught up and frustrated with the game, and I'm like, and yeah, you're one of them. It's so hard for me to play with people like that, because I'm like, do I get frustrated sometimes when things happen? Yes. But the way I see it is that we're all playing the same game with the same limitations. If there's glitches in the game, there's glitches in the game, right? Like, we're all dealing with the same things. And if I get beat, it's because in that moment they were just better.
That's
just the way I see it. I mean, they don't have to be a better player entirely, but in that moment, whatever they did, whatever happened, they bested me, and I have to deal with that. And so that's why, like, do I get frustrated? Sure. But it is what it is. Like, I still enjoy playing the game. I don't have this big hatred of all the things like a lot of people do, because I don't know.
It's so the game too.
Good.
Heaters don't count.
Shitty audio, right? There are times when the audio cues are just fucking terrible and you don't hear people. Yeah. And that I get pissed about. I don't get pissed that I put myself in a situation where I get shit on, right?
Mhm.
That's my own downfall for not playing smarter.
Yeah.
But it's server lag, packet loss, ping, fucking ridiculous shit that we have no control over.
Yeah.
That's the
So
shit
it's
that
either-
pisses
Although
people
we
off.
do
My
have
hands
good luck
are
with
running.
shitty lobbies.
We have what?
We have good luck with the laggy lobbies for some reason. Like when the whole lobby is lagging, not just one individual person.
Yeah,
Mhm.
We have good luck on those.
it's true.
What were you saying, AG?
Oh, just my hamster don't run fast enough. That's what pisses me off.
And that's the thing, right? So, and
And I'm not tactical. That's my thing. My brain doesn't work that way.
see, and that's the thing. So, fun fact: Call of Duty servers are still operating on the same servers from Modern Warfare 2009.
Mm.
But it's,
They have yet to upgrade the servers, and now because of Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare 19, there are way more people playing the game than there were back then.
Mhm.
So now you have a server overload, which equals what?
Lag.
Laggy servers, right? So you get that huge lag. You know, and I think that's the thing now. Like, okay, upgrade your servers or introduce a mechanic to where if, you know, hey, because you suck at fucking audio, your fucking servers fucking lag, give me a fucking chance.
Mhm.
You
The
know,
audio
like
is the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah,
audio
and
is bad. Somebody can literally land directly behind me. I mean,
You can't hear it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So Jay, yes, Ash and I were both Air Force. I'm still active. She got out.
Yeah.
She is a disabled vet, and she is my lovely disabled vet.
I'm extra disabled right now.
Facts.
Thank you for your service, Ash.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you all. Thank you all for your continued service so that I don't have
So
I was fine. I was a finance officer. So those two things together mean I get 0 tactical training. Again, as I said earlier, if they hand the finance officer a gun, we are all fucked.
my job
So-
is nothing but tactical training.
I mean, you
So,
were a fucking Cav scout, bro.
Yeah.
yeah,
My
so
job was literally to
and
sneak
first,
up on people
That's
and recon.
that's part of half of the name in our fucking podcast is Outlast, right? In first, outlast the Cav scout.
so Jay, without going into too crazy much detail, which you know we're gonna get on this Discord call, or I'll call you at one point. But every branch is different
Yes,
when
Cam.
it comes to training. Tactical training was hiding with a bag.
I'm hiding
Yeah,
behind
no.
all these guys
No,
with my bag
no.
full of money.
It was so the finance guys that she was with or whatever would either be a fucking Army infantry unit or an Air Force security forces unit. And their main goal was to protect the money. Like it wasn't the person, it was the money.
Mhm.
And so they'd get the brief was, hey, if these guys tell you to do something, you fucking do it. Otherwise, they're going to take your bag and they're going to come home with it, and you're coming home in a body bag. And that's just the realism of it. You know, because the shitty part of it is, you know, the reason they brought the money out, and we're not going to go into that because I don't want to. But back to the tactical question you were talking about is every branch does it completely different. Everybody knows the Army and the Marines, they both have an infantry unit. Their entire job is to train to deploy. That's the entire goal. Home station, they're training, and then boom, hey, we're going to go deploy. Air Force is a little bit different. Air Force, we call ourselves the Jacks of all and Masters of none because we get taught how to be a cop, home station, so doing law enforcement stuff. We get taught how to be security professionals, and then we also get taught how to deploy in the air-based ground defense mission set. And so we have to do all of those all at once. And so we get, you know, a little tidbit of all that. So we're dangerous in every aspect of what the other branches are masters at. because that's what they do. And that's why I think when I was deployed, I jived well with every other branch because I could speak the same language. Now, whether I was a master at it, because I wasn't, I still spoke the same language and we could still jive and do the same thing and get the fucking job done at the end of the day. But I was fortunate enough to where we did SWAT. That's the greatest thing that everybody knows from TV or whatever. I was exposed to that very early on in my career. And then whenever I got deployed, those tactics do serve a certain aspect when you were deployed. Well, I also got the fortunate opportunity to be able to work with a bunch of special forces units or whatever. So I've got to work with a bunch of the MARSOC guys, the fucking airborne guys, Team 6. Like, I've gotten to see all of it and be able to marry everything that everybody's learned together and to make it into what I think in my mind, from everything that I've seen, a polished product, in the training and everything that I've received. And that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is you put a bunch of different people from different services in the same room and it's fucking dangerous. And that's the way that I put that into perspective.
Now, I learned from my perspective how to tactically insert a formula in Excel like a boss. And I can word warrior my way through the best email you've ever read.
Deadly PowerPoints. Deadly
words.
PowerPoints.
Words.
PowerPoints, emails, and formulas. I got you. Okay. I shot a gun when I was in basic officer training, and I shot a gun right before I deployed.
No, you didn't.
That was it. Well, I was supposed to. We're not going to talk about the fact that I actually.
No,
did.
we're going to talk about this.
I will say that online in the cyberspace is probably the most dangerous place.
True.
Yeah. Yep.
So
to that regard, I probably had the most dangerous job of all. So there you go.
Sitting in a chair.
I was on the
Hence our
front
name.
lines, baby. Front lines.
It's true.
Yeah, no, like it AG, I'm sure you've dealt with this or whatever, sitting down with all the different branches or whatever. Actually, outside of special forces and all the other branches, I felt like I connected more with the Army because we all spoke the exact same language and we could all get the same shit done. And there was no misunderstanding that came with it. There might have been some, enunciations, but other than that, it was all, hey, we're here for one reason. This is what we're going to do. Let's go get it done. And we didn't have to do a lot of training to complete that objective that we were going toward.
See, call me
Yeah.
crazy, but I really loved Navy officers. Like, I loved sitting in meetings with Navy officers. Maybe it was just the particular Navy officers that I was in the room with, but I just loved their attitude on things. It just felt less red tapey.
were they
Felt
like
less-
ground officers or like aviators?
I don't
Like
know.
pilots?
I mean,
Finance.
he
They're
was a
probably
pilot.
ground officers. Or
They
No, they were
they
were they
were
pilots?
They're pilots.
Pilots
This is when
are
we were in
awesome.
Japan. This is when we were in Japan. Yeah, I remember sitting in a room with our 06s and their 06s, right? And I just remember the Navy 06, and his attitude was always like, "Why the fuck are we doing that?"
Mhm.
I was like,
That's
I love
our
that.
Well,
attitude.
except for the asshole that was the fucking commander over the whole entire fucking Navy unit over there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that guy was fun business.
I just loved their whole like really no bullshit kind of like, let's just cut through all the red tape kind of.
So that's
I don't know if that's
a-
typical, but that was my
No,
experience.
It's an officer that was raised by a senior enlisted person to question dumb shit
See, I
Right.
like
most of
that.
the time. Because
No,
that's the job, is like, hey, stop fucking having a helium hand and like ask the fucking question if this shit is the juice is worth the squeeze, basically. Like, why the fuck are we doing this? Because this is stupid, and here's why, and this is better.
I liked a lot of the questions that the '06 that particular, because so he was basically the high. So Misawa, right? I'm talking Misawa. He was the '06 for the Navy at Misawa. So
Hated that guy.
Okay, he was a super entitled asshole, but his mentality in meetings was very, very respectable for me. For somebody but he had trouble with authority. The problem was you had two 06s in the room. You had a Navy 06 and an Air Force 06. And technically the Air Force 06 was in charge, right? But the Navy 06 had his own little pocket that he was. You probably knew who he was because he was the commander when you were there.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, he was.
Yeah, he had a lot of strange rules that didn't quite line up with the Navy because
he wasn't.
Big Navy said we could do this, but he's like, nah, you can't do that. I'm like,
well,
bro.
But I liked his perspective in meetings as to how he would run a meeting and the certain questions he asked and the way he kind of his mentality. I was kind of like, why do we not all more of us? Like,
well, his son should be sitting in a fucking Japanese jail. That's all I'm saying. So fuck that guy.
Well, yeah, there was.
I have zero respect because it was his dad that got him out of it, and he can go suck a dick. That's all I care. Anyway, I'm done. Off my soapbox. I'm gonna be like the other two above me, next to me.
Anyway, did that answer your question, Jay?
Jesus. That was a long answer.
This is not on topic, but it kind of is. Another reason I didn't enlist was
you got shot.
He's my ex step uncle now, but he was in the Army and he brought back his boot camp video when I was like 8, 9, and I watched. Being a 9-year-old, you think that people in the Army, they're superheroes. They're even above cops and firefighters and stuff. They're like the top heroes. And when I seen them coming out of the gas chamber, just crying, snot hanging out their nose, man, it scared the living shit out of me. That and traumatized me to where it's like, these are the strongest men in the world to me. And this thing's making them cry. Fuck that.
The OC chamber was fun.
Not about that life.
Fuck that gas chamber.
Take your mask off. Nope. I don't want to.
No, I wouldn't have done it. I didn't have to do that.
It fucking sucked. Oh God.
Well, our instructors were like, hey, take your mask off, say the ABCs. Whoever freaking, says the most fucking letters gets more time at chow.
Dude.
No.
I think the way they did it was they all lined up against the wall, took their mask off, and said some kind of motto, and then were able to leave.
More time at chow.
What was it? The Army Creed? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Or some shit like that.
We had to say our name, our division, social, and basically wait for everyone else to do it as well.
Okay, if you want to
Army song.
So here's a great comparison of what all of these guys went through. It's a very, very similar experience of what they did. Only they did it for like tactical training, right? I had the same experience where we all lined up against a wall and had to recite either like the Air Force song, or we had to recite like certain quotes that we had to memorize out of our book. But ours, instead of life-saving stuff, ours was for like base privileges.
For caffeine privileges.
Caffeine privileges.
Not because
that y'all stashed in a fucking hidden room that nobody inspected.
We were in Cubicle City. They literally called it Cube City in Air Force officer training. We had what they called Cube City, and it was literally a room full of nothing but cubicles. And they lined all of our asses up against the wall, and we had to all recite things. And if one person screwed it up, we weren't allowed to go off base that weekend.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Officer Training School, where they teach you how to somewhat lead and put on your uniform.
You know what we call officer training, officer school, or OCS, or any of those schools for officers in the Navy is we call it knife and fork school. And so you know what side of the plate to put your knife on and your fork on. That's what
No,
you
Jay,
learn.
we were not gassed.
That was-
we were not
We call
gassed.
that
You don't learn that.
cotillion.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
just in our nice little showered gear after PT, and they marched us straight in there to Cube City.
We had a big shower and we did this thing called
Must
a
be
Ricky.
nice.
Recruits in the Navy are called Rickies. That's what we called them back in the day, back in '98. Ricky recruit.
I've
Ricky
never heard
recruit.
that.
What are you doing? And then they say, all right, shower time. You got 15 minutes. You got to get 100 people through the shower in 15 minutes. So what does it become? All the shower heads get turned on and it becomes a fucking assembly line. You hit the first shower, you're like getting wet. The second shower, you're soaping up and you're like washing your hair, going, and everyone's going through this little fucking like assembly line through the shower. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's Ricky
That's
Ricky
hilarious.
shower is what we call
You
it.
got one seaman, washing their back, the other one washing his nuts, the other one rinsing him off.
Yeah, I wish I could say that's the case, but no, it's not.
Meanwhile, we were getting in trouble for figuring out how to unlock the doors to dorm rooms that weren't being used so we could shower in those showers after PT in the morning so we didn't have to clean ours before we went to class.
So what's some good slang? I got a good piece of slang for you guys from boot camp, right? We call this thing Ricky boxing. So Ricky is a recruit, right? Like I said.
Yeah.
Ricky boxing.
Oh,
When you
God.
get caught, when you get caught, somebody got
Oh,
caught in their
no.
rack. They call that shit Ricky boxing.
So, my fucking
no.
my instructor was a combat controller, which they didn't normally let fucking special forces guys be instructors, TIs, DIs, whatever y'all call them nowadays. Be those guys unless they were a nutcase, because they didn't want them to be outside of the career field, right? This dude was 6'5", every bit of 285 pounds, and was probably, I would put him on the spectrum of 7 to 8% body fat.
Mm.
And the all
Just beef.
fucking metal, yeah, the all
Slab of
metal
beef. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he was
Mhm.
the epitome of Muscle Magazine. But the metal bunk beds.
Mhm.
So fucking first day of boot camp, you're literally sitting there like all fucking night. You finally get to bed at about 3:30 if you're lucky, and then they wake you right back up at fucking 4:30, 5 o'clock. This dude's come tearing through the fucking barracks, bro. And he took one of those bunk beds, two dudes, like full-size men, and I wouldn't call myself a full-size man at that point because I was 112 pounds. But full-size dudes, and he picked up the bottom rack of the bunk, and all four fucking legs came off the ground and slammed back. I was scared. I was done. I was like, what am I doing? I was like, I thought Air Force was supposed to be easy. Fuck this. And then he intentionally waited every day, because you know how you got to fucking march to all your fucking appointments and all that bullshit. He would wait 10 minutes before we had to be there. Then we ran there in boots and utes.
I thought you couldn't be so big to be in an Air Force. Like they wouldn't take you if you're too sizable.
So out of
Only fat.
every special forces person, out of every single branch I've ever seen, this was the biggest motherfucker I've ever seen. Because most of the Spec Ops guys that you see are fucking tiny.
Well, not tiny. I would say shorter.
They're
lean.
not
They're
not
like-
typical.
They're not bulked up. They're leaner.
Yeah, there's a
some
lot of
muscle
lean
there.
guys, but there are some fucking absolute beasts too.
They're not 6'5", 285 pounds
No.
of pure muscle.
There's not a
Most
lot
of
of
them
those guys.
are
Yeah.
in that fucking 5'7" to 6'2" range,
Yeah.
but they're not fucking yoked.
They're like welterweight fighters, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they could fucking just
180
destroy
middleweight.
somebody. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're so
Yeah.
muscle dense that it's just fucking insane.
You know, we had that. This is a big topic of contention, and this is where like the standards. Luckily, over the past few years, they've recognized it, and they have started to try and recognize these standards, like taking out like weight from your PT test, and at least for the Air Force and things like that.
They took that out?
So they did for us. Yeah, weight is now a measurement of health versus a
No, it's
physical
the
fitness.
They don't tape you
no,
guys?
it's the waist. It's the waist measurement.
Rope and choke?
They don't do it.
No shit. They
Oh,
do that
yeah,
shit
that's
in
right.
the Navy.
The weight. Yeah. The measurement.
don't
Well, they
even-
used
they
to
don't-
for us, but they
Yeah,
have
they don't
started.
do weight or waist
Right.
measurement.
It doesn't count against you in your PT test anymore because so many people were complaining, and rightfully so, that your size does not necessarily dictate your physical capabilities, and your PT test is supposed to be strictly based off of your physical capabilities, right? So we had this
Right.
conversation
Yeah.
years ago with his cousin, who was a PJ, and he was yoked. I mean, he was fucking huge. And he went in one time. He had, hardly a shred of body fat on him. And he goes into the doctor's office, and they tell him that his BMI is too high.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
And he's like, "Do you want me? Do you want to deploy with someone like me, or do you want to deploy with someone like you?" That was his question, right? Like a 6'2" beanpole, or a 5'10" fucking massive man who can carry you out if he needs to, you know, and the standards have to change for stuff like that. Like your
Yeah.
physical capability should be more important than how much you weigh or what you look like, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm always on the border of like, usually what I do is I just cut weight before I have to get weighed in. Because we have,
That's what so many people do.
I cut weight just because I know I can cut weight fine. I just put in practice the shit I learned from wrestling. I cut weight like 10 pounds, but like when I walk around normally, I'm like usually about 10 pounds over what I'm supposed to be. But I am
And see,
by
why
no
does that
means
matter?
fat.
Yeah, and why should that matter? It doesn't.
Yeah.
You're not fat at all.
Yeah,
Hell,
it should,
you and I are the same. You and I are about the same
it
size.
should be a measurement
Yeah.
of health, not physical capability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I generally
always
walk
had to get
around at
taped.
like 180, and that's 170 is the limit for my height in the Navy. So I just like, fuck it, I'll just cut weight because I don't feel like getting fucking taped. Like it's fucking embarrassing. Like, why do I need to get fucking taped?
Yeah.
You know?
Look at like Daniel Cormier. He's a bigger guy, got a gut on him. You know, some
Mhm.
people call him fat, but the dude's one of the most athletic men in the entire UFC,
Yeah.
or was when he was fighting.
I agree with being able to, like, I think if someone is over, even if they're over the tape, let's say they're just a fucking corn-fed, fucking grew up in Nebraska on a farm, slinging hay bales all day, whatever, they're a corn-fed motherfucker, right? Like, those dudes are notoriously big. They're just big dudes. And why should they be counted out when they can fucking blow past everyone in the physical fitness test every year?
Yeah.
Blow past them. And then smoke a fucking cigarette at the end. Like,
Yeah.
Come on, man.
If you want to talk about my body fat percentage, then talk about that to me in a health assessment or at a doctor's appointment. Don't use my body fat as an aptitude for my physical capabilities because it's not accurate. Because like you said, there are so many people that can smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and fucking smoke me
Oh yeah.
when it comes to physical activity. Like it's the parameters are just different for everybody. And so they're finally starting to kind of get there, but it's a slow process. It's all
They're bringing.
I know.
The Air Force is bringing the waist measurement back.
Yeah, I know in the Navy, I believe them for men, it's like 41 inches is the max you're allowed to be around the waist.
Like to me,
And then they
if I
check your
deploy
neck.
with you, if I deploy with you, like I don't give a fuck what your measurements are. The only thing I care about is if I get shot or something like that, you can fucking throw me over your shoulder and carry me out. You know? Like,
Can you
that's what
fucking
matters.
PT? Yes.
Right. Well,
Okay.
you do what you're supposed
Sweet.
to
Well, I can
do.
do that with one leg, Ash.
Can you
Yeah,
carry,
exactly.
Well,
Can you
So what
carry your
difference does it
gear?
make what your
All right.
measurements are? Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think
the way
that's-
that our standards used to be is it would be your weight versus your waist measurement
Mm-hmm.
would be how fast you had to run. That's how the Air Force would do it. You know, like the push-ups and sit-ups are standard, but you know, the bigger you are, the faster you had to run.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that was here a long time ago. Dude was literally a fucking outside linebacker at a D1 college, and he would have to run that shit in fucking 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Like, that's how big he was.
Shit in 10 minutes
like,
and 20 seconds.
And based on my size, I didn't have to run it, but in 14 minutes.
Damn.
You know, so that's almost 4 minutes.
Yeah, ours is age now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
It's age,
and the
but-
dude, but the dude would smoke it.
Yeah. I still fucking blow all the 20-year-olds that I got, and like more than half of my unit, like I can still smoke them all.
Oh, but see, I'm built for speed, not distance.
Well, I don't.
That's just the way that I am.
It's not just that. It's just like when they're doing, you know, we have to do a plank now, and like most of them drop it like a minute and a half or so. They still pass their planks, their core strength test rather than sit-ups. And like I'll plank for 3 minutes, 15, 20 seconds or whatever. I'm like, all right, that's enough. I maxed out. I didn't need to go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, but
and push-ups the same way. Like they'll do, you know, I only have to do so many, but I'll just max out. I max, relax. That's what I do.
That's it. I was always able to max out the push-ups, so I would always stop at like 50.
Like, why do I need to keep going
after that? So yeah,
I could keep going, but I don't choose to.
There's no point.
Well, and AG can contest to this is, you know, the one factor that you can't predict is adrenaline. Like when adrenaline comes into play in a life or death situation, you can't predict it. And I have seen people react to adrenaline in amazing ways.
I mean, there's been stories of people like fucking lifting a car and shit, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just 100% true, isn't it? Like someone like lifting a car up from adrenaline, just.
Like, well, and I mean, and that comes back to the psychology side. Well, and that comes back to the psyche side of it. You know, it's like, what chemicals can your body produce at a certain time, you know, certain situation that you're in, and how you're going to react to it. You know, and some of that
called cortisol, and it's either fight or flight.
Yep.
So you get 50-50, and I can tell you which camp I'm in.
You know, I mean,
I ain't lifting cars. I'm lifting my feet the opposite direction.
I'm out, bitch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Christmas Day, what was it, 3 years ago or something?
Yeah.
It was whenever,
It was right before your grandfather died. It was that Christmas we went home to see your grandfather in 2020.
Yeah. And, you know, I get a phone call and it's my daughter. And she's like, Dad, we got in a wreck.
Christmas morning.
Yeah, we're literally Christmas morning.
He was out. She was out with his dad.
And hey, Dad, we got in a wreck. And I'm like, blah, 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 you know, just rattling shit off. And then Ashley's over here freaking the fuck out. Like, is everybody okay? And I'm like, well, stress in the voice, they're good to go.
He's like, I'm going over there and I'm going to take measurements. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this.
I'm just going to.
Like, hello? My kid. Like, I should make sure my kid's okay.
Like, there are sound waves coming out of her mouth, which equals she is fine.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how, you know, going back into that, like, hey, who can do the job and who can't?
Very true.
In whatever situation that you get into. What are you pointing at? Are you pointing at Rebel?
No, I'm actually pointing at you. I forgot I'm looking at Discord.
Oh, I'm like, no, don't point at me. Because wait, you're correct though for pointing at me.
But I mean, Rebel, you know, I mean, he's the only one here that's been shot. So I mean, you could use that comparison with him.
I'll tell you, the adrenaline, they had to hold me down because I wanted to get back up and chase the car down.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Like adrenaline, cortisol, okay, misses. I know the body.
She's smarter than all of us, so
Facts, right?
Combined.
Cortisol is stress hormone.
Yeah. But I mean, it's an amazing drug.
yeah.
Let's call it what it is. It's an amazing drug because our body fills with it, and then boom, we go to it. But then it also goes back and ties into what level of training that you have also.
It's that
Whenever
muscle
it comes-
memory.
Muscle
When it comes to
memory.
reacting, you know, because it's like, you know, Rebel's like, hey, I want to go and chase that car. Right? You know, for fucking AG as this Cav Scout, hey, I'm going to hop back on this fucking horse and we're going to go and fucking take out this target, you know. When it comes to fucking Skep, hey, I need to get this fucking jet launched no matter what. When it comes to
Y'all
Ashley,
like
it's
how
like,
he
hey,
me? I'm like, okay, what
I haven't
what's
gotten to
mine?
you yet because I was saving the best for last, okay?
Okay. Mhm.
Because there was a joke coming in with that one, but thank you for messing with that.
Keep
What
going,
is
keep
it?
going,
What is
keep
You
going.
know,
Yeah.
Ashley
hear
hit the
it.
fucking function key and made that fucking formula bad fucking ass.
Yep, there you go. That's my adrenaline. Where's my fucking computer?
You did not let that unfold, babe. You should have just let that one unfold. That would have been the.
I
Right
got
there.
it.
I hit the enter function. This
It
function's
worked.
working.
Reinforcements inbound.
My tab key's broken. I don't like it.
Control Z. Control Z.
Oh my god.
It's like
Jesus.
full auto semi. Oh, fuck it.
Who swapped the M and the N out again?
Yeah, but the thing with Ashley is you could swap out all the fucking keys and she's still gonna type fucking 130 words a minute. So
I'm over here like,
All F4 out of there. You see, there you go. I'm Control Z. I'm a Control Z myself right out of the situation.
I took keyboarding in high school. Did you guys take keyboarding?
I took
Fuck
it in
no.
middle school.
We had
I learned it,
keyboarding
but failed.
class.
I learned it in Mario
Mario's teaching
teaches
typing.
typing. My grandparents bought me that game, and that's how I learned
Oh.
to type.
I did a whole class on it. It was typewriter class.
yeah.
We learned on
I took a
typewriters.
computer class, but
See,
Yeah,
the
mine was-
only thing I learned from Mario was Dr. Mario, and like throw pills at it, and it will die.
Like red,
Wasn't Dr.
white,
Mario just colors?
Red, white.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this was it was like you were running in the Mario game and they would have the letters up at the top and you'd have to like hit the right letter to jump up and hit it like a video game.
Oh, what was
Yeah.
that?
Is Mario teaches typing?
Yeah.
Okay, beat it, nerd.
I mean, now you want to talk about who can type like 110 words per minute?
I can type pretty fast too.
Yeah.
Not
I've
110,
gotten to
but
that
pretty
point.
fast.
It's getting to be a lost art. Like I feel like
Yeah.
my kids have been kind of deprived.
Can
I think
You know,
mine
it-
might be 12.
Mm.
They used to say that you'd never learn anything
12
watching
words a minute.
TV or playing video games, and look at us.
Look at us.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Hey, I learned that Alexander Hamilton was shot by Burr through TV, a commercial.
I mean, my kid learned how to grow.
Was it peanut butter?
Yes, you know the
Yeah, but
commercial.
so AG, you're good at range determination, not typing fucking keys.
Oh yeah. You put me
I
out
did-
somewhere. I'll give you a measurement. I'll tell you
Exactly.
I'll tell you that's 1,300 meters away.
Exactly. Well, but see, but the lost art of being able to
Absolutely, Jay.
convert fucking feet, yards, and meters.
But he still can't tell what 6 inches is. Really.
No, there is no male on earth that knows what 6 inches is.
They're all
Really
it's
is.
all
It
dick
really is.
inches, man.
Well, yeah, when it comes to dick inches, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
AG single finger
tell
pecs
ya,
on a
I
keyboard.
do.
You know what's funny though is Tuna actually kind of does like he does like a hybrid peck, and it's actually really fast for a hybrid peck. Like I couldn't do.
That's
the
kind of
peck.
what mine is.
Yeah, I couldn't do the peck as fast as he does the peck. It drives me absolutely insane watching him because he's like, but he's like pecking all over, but he's like actually really fast about it. And I'm like, you know how fast you could be if you actually just did it the right way?
Oh, no comment.
Yeah, but that takes a whole
Like,
nother
I
level of
had the
learning.
greatest comeback to that, and I'm not gonna say it.
Pecking?
Yeah,
I can only imagine. Surprised. I'm so surprised you had
His
a comment. for
hybrid
pecking.
fingering.
Oh my god.
I spent 18 years between them.
Between the letters?
No,
Between the
it starts with an L and an E.
Ends with a G.
I mean, I got it, but I'm still trying to figure out how it's funny. In the sense, like,
I had to learn to peck.
oh, is that how you do it?
Mm-hmm. That's how I learned about ABCs.
Okay.
My dad always told me if you get a sore under your tongue, you're doing it wrong.
What? Why would your dad tell you that?
Okay, this is okay. We're about to take a whole turn, real quick, y'all.
We need a drink break because I need a
Yeah.
refill for this.
All right.
All right. Do we need a drink break?
Let's catch up on chat.
We're gonna talk about one of my buddies after this because it was the
Oh my God.
funniest one-liner ever.
I'm pretty sure I was there when you got that phone call.
No, that's another good story.
Oh.
This one was literally like a few days ago.
Oh, there's.
I can
Okay.
tell you about jungle
Your
survival
first
training in Philippines.
No, babe, this involved your
In the
best
jungle.
first best friend's ex-husband.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's like my second, third cousins, kids who married
Right.
their uncle.
You're not
me
from
talking about
you're
my
not from the
ex-step
South.
family.
You don't know that.
I
All
don't
right,
know
hold on.
shit.
I'll be right back. She needs a
I
drink.
had to explain the other day about ex-step family to Skep.
He did because I was fucking confused for a minute.
I have an
had to
ex-step
think about it.
family.
You have to think about it for a minute. I'm like, what?
That's who when I said my uncle, it was actually my ex-step uncle.
Fucked me up, dude. That shit fucked me up. I still like when you say that, I'm like, what?
It was my
I-
ex-stepmom's brother.
I get it now. It fucks me up in my head though. I'm like, what? It's ex-stepmom's brother. Fuck.
Computing.
I got it. It just takes me a second, you know.
It's just easier to say my ex-step uncle than it is my ex-mom's brother. you
Single
know.
finger peck. I know a lot of people single finger peck really fucking fast too. They're like, like how
I
the
have my thing. Cam, I have it's thing.
You
See,
guys
I
hear
have
me
the right
clicking away.
finger.
Oh yeah, we
I have
do.
the right finger placement. I just don't know where the keys are, so I have to look. You know, so I have to lift my fingers up to see what keys are underneath my fingers, and
Yeah.
but the placement's there.
I don't remember where the keys are either. I'm the same way. Like I have to look. I can't type without looking ever.
Yeah.
Or it'll just be a bunch of gibberish.
I know where WASD is, and space, and
Oh,
shift.
you got that one, huh?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm terrible at typing. Just outright terrible.
Had a lot of
Uh,
comments I didn't make there.
At least you guys, like, for me, you guys were talking about the military. I didn't have regular boot camp. Like for us, it's called OSUT.
OSUT?
Yeah, OSUT, one
That's-
station unit training.
That's like your basic military training.
That's my boot camp. See, so for like you guys, you know how you have a boot camp and then you have school.
Yeah, his was basic and then
Yeah.
tech school, and then mine
Yeah.
was OTS, so
OTS,
officer
yeah.
training school, and then I had a tech school as well.
Yeah. See, I didn't have that. Mine is literally 18 weeks. So like 4.5
So is it
months,
all
whatever it
together?
is. Non-stop, same drill sergeants, everything. We don't get breaks. We don't get to leave. We don't get nothing.
So ours was even more different because so for them, they go to basic and then immediately go to tech school. For
Mm.
officers in the Air Force, we go to basic officer training, then we go to our first duty station, and then it could be 6 months to a year before we go to tech school.
Yeah. Nah. Us, it's
Like
one big, long basic training.
I commissioned in September of 2015, and I didn't go to tech school until like summer.
Yeah. I didn't have those luxuries that you guys talk about at all. None, zero. We
It's
didn't.
kind
We
of
don't get any.
It's really
luxuries.
frustrating though, because like especially coming in, the only time I think you'd be at an advantage in that situation is if you came in as a prior enlisted person in the same career field you're commissioned in. So like for me as a civilian coming in as a commissioned officer, I had zero experience. Like
Yeah.
the
It's
only
not
thing
like
they
the academy.
taught me, yeah, it's like the only thing they taught me how to do was to be an officer. I didn't actually know how to do my job at all. I had 2 master sergeants who taught me how to do that
Yeah.
until I went to tech school.
Even yeah, OCS it's pretty rough for that because I've dealt with a lot of, butter bars, new lieutenants. They don't know a fucking thing.
No, if you're lucky, they have
Like
experience in
nothing.
leading, and that's rare.
I did have one who was prior enlisted, which was nice. So he actually kind of knew how
Those
shit
guys
worked. And then I just talked down to all the academy guys because they're a bunch of douchebags.
See, my situation was different because while I didn't have experience in the career field, I was older. I was 28 when
Yeah.
so I was a little bit older, and I had a lot of life and corporate work experience. So I had management experience. So I could lead and I could manage. I just didn't know the career field.
I just used to like to make the West Pointers feel bad because they were trash. Like, I'm a West Pointer, I'm special. Shut the fuck up. You don't know a damn thing.
I can manage a McDonald's.
I'm over here as like a E4, literally like holding the hand of a West Pointer. All right, this is how you do it.
Well, they learn different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I figured that out after people come from I went to Annapolis. I went they went to these places, these prestigious colleges. They're now naval officers, and it's like, hey, or any kind of officer really, and it's like, hey, if I need anything when it comes to like war theory, and I need to know history on something, or like. But I'm going to tell you, like, this is what's in the mind of a junior enlisted person.
Well, and you're not going to get that.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
04.
Right. You're not going to know if you've never been there. So you have to, like, bridge that gap as an enlisted person. Like, hey, this is what the guys the guys and gals are thinking. Because I know I've been there. So the question is, like, hey, what do we do in this situation? Well, listen to the enlisted person who's a little more senior, who's been there and done that, and they can explain to you why, something is or is not going to work. So
yeah, I'm turning as a lieutenant and as a, an early captain, I'm looking at my, E5s and up.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I haven't been around long enough to know. And even if you had like a prior enlisted, so like I commissioned same year as he was prior enlisted finance. He was like a tech sergeant. So he was like an E6.
E6.
And then he commissioned as an 01. And but here was the difference. He and we fought for rating for strats between the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
I was second only to him in strats because he had the technical knowledge, but he struggled going from being enlisted to officer. He had trouble leading because he still had that, like, he also had a superiority complex, but that's besides the point. He had all that technical knowledge, but he didn't have the leadership that I had from, years. So where we complemented each other in that regard. But like as anything below an 04, don't ask us for like technical expertise or strategy or like you can, but we shouldn't have those answers like you guys would have those answers. Like it's just not. It's not possible.
But I mean,
does the Air Force enlisted not go to like leadership courses?
yes,
they do. Yeah,
I think all branches do.
yeah.
We
ours
have
are pretty intense leadership courses.
So we have 2 mandatory ones, and then we have 4 like e-learning ones that we have to go through.
I went to the Naval War College. I got up to E8, but yeah, I went through enlisted leadership courses when I became an NCO and then on. So E4 and up, basically.
So we have the option as officers to go through y'all's war college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As like 04 or 05 or something like that, I think.
It's 05.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could have gone to Air Force or as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I do like about the joint service stuff is that, we do have that option. Like, there's when you're in a joint base, kind of like on Masawa, when you have the Navy and the Air Force, like I had a guy, he went through, so y'all's chiefs school, whatever that is called, or whatever, once you make E7 or whatever, he was able to go to that leadership school. So
yeah, you can go to the Naval War College Senior Enlisted Academy when you're an E7, but you have to be early promote graded. So on your annual reviews or your evaluations, you have to be early promote graded, which is the top of your peer group.
Well, this was just y'all's like E7 leadership stuff because it happened on Masawa.
Oh yeah, that's the CPO one where the initial one is taught by other chiefs.
Yep. Yeah, and so he was able to go through that or whatever. Like he had to get a waiver and all that stuff because he had to wear the hat and all that bullshit or whatever during graduation and all that good fun jazz.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tradition in the Navy that I actually like.
We push certain, like if a Master Sergeant wants to go through the chief season with the Navy, they can. It just has to be approved. So, but that's something that sticks with them for the rest of their life too. When they do that, and when they're accepted by the chiefs, the Navy chiefs, that's like a lifelong acceptance. So,
well, I mean,
inside and outside the Navy.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that's just how, I know that it's sacred to be able to go to the Chiefs mess, just to even be invited to it, and then once you go there, it's like, holy shit, you get a whole different side, and it's even more sacred, my E6 ass even being invited over there.
Yeah, they're the keepers of history and tradition, so it's a big deal, man. Like it's probably I mean, aside from my children and being married, my children being born, like me being accepted into the Chiefs mess is probably one of my biggest life-changing moments ever. Like I was fucking bawling like a baby, man. It was hell. It was hell going through initiation. But it was one of the biggest life-changing moments I've ever had. Like, it was crazy, dude. Like, I can't explain it, but you have to do it to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I'll never go through that, but I felt the acceptance just, going over there. Hearing the stories and all that other stuff, I was just like, holy shit, and and some of that was instilled in me, and I know this doesn't compare at all. It never will, but like just going through Navy ROTC when I was in high school, because that's all we had. Some of that tradition was instilled in me before I even came in the military.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Navy recruiter and they're like, oh, hey, you're going to be stuck on a ship for 6 months. And I was like, you can go fuck yourself. Not going to happen.
You
you know,
yeah.
I like the beach, but not a ship.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad I haven't had to do a lot of ship time. I'm a expeditionary deployer, so I do ground deployments. I'm a dirt sailor, for lack of better terms.
And I mean, y'all had a fucking, when I first showed up in the desert, y'all had about a 22% fucking kill rate with the sea ram. By the time I left, y'all got up to like 70. So I was like, thank God y'all did change over.
So Jay
Because-
asked,
What?
nothing, go ahead. I was answering a question Jay had, but you weren't done yet.
I would
Oh,
like
no,
to
I
hear
would-
the answer to that too.
No. All I was going to say is being on the phone with my wife whenever the fucking alarm went off and the sea ram going off at the same fucking time. And I'm saying, hey, babe, gotta go. And I hang up immediately. I'm glad the Navy was there and they had done changeover for that 70%. Their algorithm changed it for the good.
Incoming.
Facts.
So Jay said, what's one thing I had difficulty coming out of the service? So I will preface this by saying I honestly think that I am the exception here in that I actually had a more difficult time transitioning into the service than I did out because I was a corporate worker for 10 plus years before I joined. So I feel like my transition out of the Air Force felt more natural than in because I had spent more time out than in. However, there were a couple of things that were difficult for me. So because I was a spouse for 10 years, I went from being a spouse to being active duty myself. So there's this whole and this is a female thing. So, and also a military wife thing, right? There is still a heavy assumption that when you run into a military family, the male is the active duty military member. So whenever I was active duty, that was a lot of the frustration I got with, so you're in the or you're in the military. They would look at him and it would be like, yeah, so am I. And I had to almost bring myself into that conversation because it was like, I am too, by the way. So going from being a spouse to having my own identity in the military to now transitioning back out and being a spouse again has been very difficult because it's been one of those I went from not having an identity because my identity was tied to him to having my own identity for 5 years and fighting so hard for that identity and feeling like, oh, by the way, I wear a uniform too. It's not just him. Merc. To going back to feeling like I almost don't have my own identity anymore. So even though I'm a disabled vet, even though, all the things, no one knows that because when they ask me on the phone, oh, by the way, who are your kids under? Is it you or your spouse? And I have to go, oh, it's my spouse. And I in my, I want to go, but I was in the military too. It's just, I don't know. Going from not having an identity to having one to not having one again has been kind of difficult. But so I would say that's kind of a personal thing that was kind of hard to transition back to. As far as the job portion of it, I struggled with getting out because I was a very, very different type of leader. I don't think the Air Force was ready for my type of leadership, which is why I struggled so much because I'm not traditional in how I lead and things like that. So I had a pretty big impact on the squadron, specifically the last squadron I was in. I had a lot of people that came up to me and said, I would have gotten out if it hadn't been for you, or we need more leaders like you. Why are you getting out? And there was a lot of guilt there with that. So I struggled a lot with leaving behind a generation of airmen that I know I could have had good impacts on if I had stayed in long enough to make the rank to be able to put forth more change. And a lot of that I gave up for myself for very selfish reasons because I was not happy. So I feel like there's a lot of people that could have benefited from me staying. and I got out for myself.
Right.
So I struggle with a lot of guilt of leaving that behind, because mentoring and taking care of people was my favorite part of the job. And so leaving that behind was really, really hard.
There was a twofold reason that she got out, and eventually we'll probably talk about it, but I don't know right now is the time.
I think that the military in general needs more officers that think like that, that feel like that.
They do. And the problem is that, and we know it and we recognize it. The problem is that it would take so many of us staying in for such a long time to make the ranks that we needed to make to actually be able to enact change.
Yeah.
And I harbor a lot of guilt that I was not able to hold on long enough to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I think is one of my biggest challenges.
That's where I'm glad, like I'll give you an example. Like my CO, he's been in the Navy for 33 years. 33 years. That's a long
Jesus.
fucking time.
A long time.
He was enlisted prior. He went to the rank of E7, and then he went limited duty officer and became a ground officer at that point. And now he's a commander, and he's getting ready to retire and change out command. And I could say that he's probably, I will say that he is the best officer because of his leadership style and how much he cares about people, much like you're talking about, Ash. Like his primary goal, one, I mean, obviously it's the command and the mission, but his primary goal is care and feeding of people, basically, for lack of better terms. It's mentoring and leading and just offering that human touch, to people. Yeah. And I think there isn't a single person there that doesn't fucking love that guy. He's such a good human being. Like, he's such a good human being and it's going to be sad, when he has to leave. He's got to retire, but it's going to be sad because, God, I wish there was more officers like that, like yourself, that care about people.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much emphasis on how do we do the mission better, right? And I understand that that's important. Like, how do we do the job better? How do we accomplish the mission better? How do we do all these things? I think we are looking at it backwards. If we take care of the people first, the mission will come. And that's just not the way that it works. The focus is mission and then people. And I don't care how many times they say otherwise. That's not the way they do business. It's just, it's not. And they're doing it, they're going about it all wrong. Doing the trainings and doing the resilience days and doing the let's talk about your problem. It's not fixing anything. I mean, at the end of the day, until they start treating military members like legit bona fide employees, they're going to keep losing the right people and keeping the wrong ones.
Yeah.
I mean, that it is what it is, because the people, and I could go on and on about this, but the people that are joining the military now are not joining for the same reasons they joined in the 1970s.
Yeah, or the 80s or the 90s.
Or the 80s. They're not. Those
or even the early 2000s during the war.
Yeah.
They were tied. All the wars. They were tied to a very specific moment in time of patriotism and why they joined the military. People are not joining the military because of that anymore. It's just not. Like, your force is not made up of patriots anymore. They are made up of people who didn't have another choice or wanted free education. The patriots in the military nowadays are rare. Yeah. Everyone else is just different. And so until you start treating the force like the force that they are, and making it easier to get rid of the people who don't belong, just like you could fire someone in a job, and giving the other people who belong there a reason to join. I mean, but the first thing they need to do is recognize why people are joining, and they need to change their leadership styles to adapt to that. The days of people adapting to the military lifestyle are gone. They're going to have to start adapting to the force because the force outweighs everything else. Like, that's just the way it is.
I will say this though, with even now, even the brand new people in the military, when push comes to shove, and we've done our jobs as people who have been in for a little while, and we've trained and we've mentored correctly, that when the time comes, they will execute, no matter what the reason is that they joined. Whether it was for college money or because they need to get out of their hometown or because they're a patriot or whatever reason, like, they will do the fucking job and they will do it to the best of their ability when the time comes, as long as we've done ours.
See, I feel like I believe that that's the exception and not the norm. Because, and not that I want to believe it, I feel like that's what I saw in my experience. You've been in a lot longer than I have, and your branch could be different too, maybe different. I know in my experience with the people that I was exposed to, I feel like that mentality was the exception and not the norm. I'm not saying that that encompasses everything, but that was just my experience. Because the ones I was there with, they would not have showed up.
So I'll say this. So, like, what, 3 years ago, there was a ship that caught on fire in the Navy, Coronado, Naval Base San Diego, the Bonhomme Richard. That ship is in the ships. The majority of the people that are on the ships are young sailors. Mm-hmm. That ship like caught on fire while it was in port. And those young sailors, like 1, 2, 3 years in the Navy, like, they executed their jobs. I mean, there was like 40 sailors, I think, that got injured on that, but they did exactly what they were trained to do because of the people that raised them up, even in the short amount of time they were in the military. Like, they trained them, and a lot of them, I mean, they may have come in because whatever reason, they got to get out of a bad situation at home or, you know, college money or whatever. But when push came to shove, like, they executed. They did the best that they absolutely could, you know?
See, I sent people out on deployments. And we would still see more half-assery and avoidance than anything else.
Oh yeah, it's 100% out there for sure.
Yeah, but maybe it's a lot of my career field too. Like, finance was full of a lot of people who, the majority of them did not choose finance, to be fair. Like, they didn't, you know. So it's not a sexy job. It's not, you know, we don't go shoot guns and do things. You know, we are keyboard warriors. So I don't know if maybe that had anything to do with it, but I just know that in my experience, the generation that I was working with, it was like, you just knew that there was not, it wasn't there.
I feel like your job does have a big thing to do with it.
I think it probably does. Yeah.
Because, like, in my case, honestly, you don't join the Army as a combat arms just to get out of a shitty situation most of the time. You know?
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
because when you join as combat arms, it's something you got to have some passion for.
Well, so I've said this about Tuna Scurfield, and he can speak to this too. But I know that, and the reason I bring it up is because one of the questions I got a lot as a 28-year-old newly commissioned officer: why did you leave a 6-figure career to join the military at 28 years old? And the biggest influence on that was, even after working with these people in the civilian world, I felt more comfortable walking into a room full of cops than I did with any coworker I ever had. Because there was that sense of camaraderie. There was that, call it cliche or whatever it is, but there was that sense of all these people share one thing. They don't even have to like each other. But if cops and like combat arms, like you're saying, if you guys go to war together, and I'm assuming Skep, yours has a lot of this too, in that your community is like that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you go to war together, if you're on a mission together, you rely on each other for your lives.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a whole different animal. Like, you don't have to like the person standing next to you, but you will still take a bullet for them. Like, that's just the way that it is. Finance is not like that. It's not. Like, in my experience, finance was 100% the opposite. Like, when I was so disappointed when I joined, and I found so much struggle in trying to just make these people even want to sit down and drink a beer together.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, why? I spend all day with these people. Why would I want to leave work early and have a beer with them? And I'm like, it's just a different thing, you know? So I think career field does have a lot to do with it.
I think it does.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right, AG. Ash.
I'm not
yeah.
expected to take a bullet for the person standing next to me. That's just not the expectation of my job, you know? Not like you guys. It's just different.
But at the end of the day, you know, when it comes to the military, right? And, you know, to sum all of that up is there is no mission without the people. And if the leaders care about the people, the mission will get done. And I say that to my guys every day. Like, the job that I'm in right now, they were like, what sets you apart from everybody else? And I'm like, well, you don't have any productivity. And they're like, why is that? And I said, because you don't care about the people. I was like, as soon as you care about the people, the mission will get done. So yes, we have a mission first mindset, but the people to carry out that mission are the people. So you have to care about them first.
Yeah.
But sometimes caring about the people looks like helping them get out of the military. Like, I had one person, one particular female, she wanted out, and I knew that she wasn't a good fit. She knew she wasn't a good fit. Everybody knew she wasn't a good fit. But because of all the red tape that you have to go through to get somebody out of the military, everybody else's productivity and work was suffering because she was not doing her job. Why? Because she was taking every mental health opportunity she could to not be in the office. So until I stepped in and I was like, look, I will help you. I will do what I have to do to help you. I went to legal for her. I wrote paperwork for I at her request wrote paperwork for her so that we could, you know, build a trail and do all the things. And you know what what that did? She showed up. She showed up more because even though it's not where she wanted to be, she knew that someone was there fighting for her. And it sounds counterintuitive because you expect leaders to want to push them to just do the job, do the mission, do the things that they're supposed to do. But sometimes taking care of people that's not what that looks like. Sometimes it just looks a little different, you know, but she showed up more when she knew she had somebody in her corner helping her get where she eventually wanted to go. And maybe that meant getting her out of the military. But I got more out of her that way than I got out of her than anybody had gotten out of her before. So taking care of people it doesn't always mean getting them to do the job.
It's always about finding what makes your people tick. And once you find that, you're good to go. And it doesn't matter what you tell them, they are going to help you out because you help them.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that really strikes on this is because I have this same mentality as that. Like, I care about my people immensely. Like, I may not know them, but I will bend over backwards for them if they need help. That's my part of my job, and part of my job I want to do it, right? Because I don't know, maybe selfishly I like the fact that I can help somebody. But I will say, like, that comes down to I don't know if you guys have ever read the book 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. But it's a great book. Check it out sometime if you want some reading. But one of the laws is you have to touch a heart before you can ask for a hand. And a lot of times that means, like, you have to be able to connect with somebody and basically reach into them where it counts the most before you ask them to do something. Like, I want you to do this job and I want you to do it to the best of your ability. But at the same time, what do you need from me? And how can I help you do that? What is it that you need? If it's personal, professional, whatever it is, what can I do to help? Because I'm here for you. And that's kind of how I look at it, is that you have to touch a heart before you can ask for a hand. I know it sounds kind of mushy and stuff, but it's the honest to God truth, man.
Well,
it is.
It is. The problem is that it is more today's leadership versus, I think, a long time ago, the leadership in the military specifically was not like that. It was, you do because you're told to do and how to do. And
Well-
we've evolved so much since then that it's just not like that anymore. And I think not everyone has caught up to that, you know?
I'll say this, that I came in 1998, and yes, there are people that are in leadership positions that are just fucking dicks, right?
Yeah.
But there are people, even back then when I came in, that I had an issue and it was personal, like family related or whatever the case may be. There was always somebody that helped me.
Mm-hmm.
There was always somebody in a leadership position that helped me out, that recognized that, you know, hey, this guy needs some fucking help. Like, I need to be here for them because, you know, it's the right thing to do. And then also on the flip side of that, when they take care of their shit and I help them take care of their shit, they can get back to work and do their job, you know?
It just sucks more people aren't like that, because like when I came in, that was one of the really, really, really bad first experiences I had. Is I had a leader who, you know, we were almost the same age. I think we were like within 4 to 6 years, and she was a commander and I was a lieutenant. But she had joined, you know, a lot earlier in a different time, and her mentality was, it's just the fucking military. Like, you show up at 7:30 because that's what we do. You wear your uniform a certain way because that's what we do. There was no human element to it.
Mm.
And so that really dictated how I led, because people didn't respond well to her. And I was like, I never want to be that person. She would tell me, she had this one story where she was like, and the backstory as to why she told me this story is really long. So I won't go into that right now because it's late, but she told me the story about how as a captain, she showed up to her new assignment or something, or maybe she was a first lieutenant or something. And she was like, she said, I showed up to this new base, and I hadn't even reported in yet, but I was going to show up to PT. She was like, I was trying to be like, you know, show that I was in it and all the things. And she was like, so I decided to go to PT, even though I didn't have to. I hadn't even signed in or started, you know, yet. And she was like, and I got lost. And I showed up like 15 minutes or, you know, late or whatever. And the captain that was there ripped her a new one for showing up late. And she was like, and I didn't even have to be there. I just did it as to take initiative. She's like, because but that was her view on the military. Like,
Wow.
it didn't matter that you didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
The fact was that you showed up, and you showed up late, so you got your ass reamed for it. And that's how she led. And I just feel like there's so many of those out there still that
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh.
as an outsider looking in, that's the stereotype of all military.
Yeah.
You do because that's how we do it.
Exactly.
So I've had
Do as I
pretty
say,
good
not as I
leaders.
do.
Yeah, I've had pretty good leaders, but I got a prime example of bad leadership like that. So
Yeah.
my daughter was born. It was like late kind of in the evening. And I got pulled into my CO's office and ripped a new one because I didn't immediately call them to tell them my daughter was born. And I got my ass chewed because I didn't tell them my daughter was born.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of leadership you get.
Yeah,
in
this same commander, I had a health issue, and actually on Friday this exact same thing started to happen to me. Luckily it had happened to me before, so I was able to kind of roll it back, and I was able to stop it before it got too far. But it happened to me once before, and I went to the hospital. I was in the hospital for a couple of days. And when I came back, she pulls me into a skiff or for people who don't know, it's a secure
I know
environment.
what a skiff is.
Yeah, I know y'all do, but it's a secure environment or whatever where they had like O plans and, things like that. And she was like, just so
Operational
you know.
plans, by the way.
Sorry. She was like, just so you know, before all of this happened, you were the officer that would have, that were a part of this O plan and all this, and we had to take you out and everybody else had to, step up and whatever. And I'm like, I was in the fucking hospital for a health problem that I had zero control over. And here you are. She literally called me. What did she say? It's been like dragging around a brick is what she told me because I had health issues. And I was like, this is just not okay. Like, this is not okay. This is why people don't respond,
It's tough now for people to go, well, I can learn from good leaders and bad leaders what not to do and what to do. The problem now is that people go, oh, this is a bad person. I don't want to be around them anymore. Fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
Most of my career, I have had bad leaders. Like, I could literally count on my fingers the good ones that I've had, and some of the good ones were my peers. Like somebody called me the other day and they're like, hey, how do you think this guy is going to perform in this job? I hit 18 in July. And when he called me and I was like, this is probably one of the best, if not the best senior NCOs I've ever worked for in almost 18 years, because I've had way too much bad. So I've had to figure it out on my own as I go along, because I have the guys that are going to shove it down my throat saying, hey, you have to do this. You have to do this.
You muted yourself.
I lost them.
Oh, sorry. So they said this is what you have to do to get the better ratings on your performance report. And I'm like, you can go fuck yourself. Because if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be at the rank that you're at. And that's why I truly hold dear to, if you don't have the people, you don't have the mission.
Yeah.
And I preach that every day to my guys.
Well, I think that's a strong one to leave off on for sure. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's wrap it. We made it. All 3 hours.
We did.
We made it.
Yeah, Ashley made it. Good.
Let's go, Ash.
I made it. I made it.
Ashley made it on the good drugs and the good drugs alone. That's about it.
Go.
That's what I was like. She seems like the way she came into camera.
Yeah, y'all watch that.
While she was talking, like, I'm like, she seems to like talking to people, seems to get her mind off of it and
It does.
feel better.
Yeah.
I think you're
That's
right.
why I told him,
Yeah.
I really want to try. I wanted to try because, just sitting on the couch doing nothing is almost even more depressing than anything else.
Great combo, though, you guys. It was a good combo.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. I will post some more shit on Ashley's stuff. We've been quiet about it, but I will post it.